Hey there. I know you guys are going to be going to see Hamlet this week. For some of you, this will be the first time that you see a Shakespeare production done live. Given that Shakespeare wrote in Elizabethan English, it is quite possible that there are going to be lines that maybe get past you. And so it's helpful if maybe you learn a little bit about the play before you watch it. And so, since we're doing Hamlet, understand this: Hamlet is one of Shakespeare's tragedies. Shakespeare wrote in sometimes histories, sometimes comedies, and sometimes tragedies. The histories tended to be stories about kings of England. The comedies often, uh, while not always meant to be strictly funny, usually ended in marriage. I had a professor at school that said you can always tell the difference between a comedy and a tragedy because in a comedy, everyone gets married. In a tragedy, they all die. Um, Hamlet is a tragedy. It tells the story of a young prince whose name is Hamlet. To understand the story, it helps to get a little bit of the history that was meant to be understood behind the story. At the time when the play is supposed to have taken place, the king of Norway was fighting against the king of Denmark. Hamlet is the son of the king of Denmark. The king of Norway had been killed by the king of Denmark, and Denmark had therefore taken some of the land that had belonged to Norway. Because of this, the son of the king of Norway, was was riding to Denmark with an army to try to take land back. That was kind of the political events that lay in the background of what's happening in Hamlet. Now, as we begin the story, we find out that Hamlet's father, the king of Norway, has actually died recently. And Hamlet is in grief. And he's in grief not only because he's sad about his father passing, but also because his mother has very quickly, without any period of mourning, married his father's brother. During Shakespeare's time and even today, such an arrangement would be considered somewhat incestuous to marry the brother of your former husband. But that's what happened in the play. So his mother, Gertrude, has married this brother of her former husband. And Hamlet is both repulsed by that and upset about the fact that his mother does not appear to be grieving his lost father. In addition to that, Hamlet is not taking the throne as would normally happen with a prince when his father passes because of this marriage arrangement that his mother has made. Now his uncle is the king and also his stepfather. He finds that his mother, the queen, and his stepfather are encouraging him to stop grieving and to basically accept the situation, something that Hamlet is having a hard time doing. In the meantime, Hamlet's friend Horatio comes to him with news that the night watchmen have been seeing a very odd sight during their evening watches. In particular, what they've been seeing is a ghostly apparition that looks strikingly like Hamlet's father. Horatio tells Hamlet that he himself has actually gone with the night watch to go and see this apparition, and that in his estimation, it does appear to be the ghost of Hamlet's father. Hamlet, of course, wants to see this, and so he goes to meet with the night watch. During the night watch that evening, the apparition does appear, and without speaking, it urges Hamlet to follow it. His friends don't want him to, but Hamlet insists, and he goes to meet with this ghostly apparition. The ghost begins to talk to him and says that he is his father. And he lets Hamlet know that his death was not natural, that instead his brother, the current king, murdered him by putting poison in his ear while he was sleeping. And he urges Hamlet to take revenge for him. In fact, he makes Hamlet swear to take revenge, something that Hamlet then does. Following this, Hamlet really becomes even more disturbed. Now he's grieving his father, he's upset about his mother, and he has this burden weighing over him that his father's ghost has bidden him to take revenge. He doesn't know how he's going to do it, and the longer he waits, the more guilty he feels that he's not kept his vow to his father. His mother and his stepfather decide to try to find out the source of his discontent by sending for his childhood friends to come and visit. In the meantime, one of the court counselors, the king's right-hand man, Polonius, tells the king that he thinks that Hamlet is sick with love because he has been romantically attached to Polonius's daughter, whose name is Ophelia. Now, Polonius has urged Ophelia to break off any connection with Hamlet, and he says that this is the reason for Hamlet's malady, that he's upset about the broken relationship. And so he urges the king to spy on Hamlet and see if it's true for himself. Hamlet discovers that this is their plan, and he breaks things off with Ophelia. He also doesn't trust the childhood friends that have now come to visit him. He realizes that they've been sent for by his mother and by the king, and he doesn't trust them. But the friends continue to persist in trying to figure out why he's so upset, why he's so depressed. And they send for a series of theater players who come to perform for the royal court. In secret, Hamlet meets with these theater players and comes up with a plan that he wants them to enact a play which closely resembles the situation with his father. In the play, a beloved king is murdered by his brother, and then his wife marries that brother. And Hamlet's theory is that if his stepfather watches this, he'll be able to tell from his stepfather's reaction whether or not his father really is guilty or not. And as the play unfolds and the murder is done in the play, Hamlet observes that his father is upset. In fact, his stepfather urges for the play to stop immediately. And Hamlet at that point decides that he is in fact going to kill his stepfather, his uncle. And he tries to find a way to do it. He discovers that his stepfather is in the chapel, and he goes to the chapel to kill him, only to find that his stepfather is in fact confessing his sin at that moment in private. Hamlet doesn't want to kill him at that moment because he feels that if he kills him while he's confessing his sin, then he'll just be able to go up to glory without paying for his sins. All right. And so he doesn't kill him. He spares him at that moment. But he goes up to confront his mother in her chamber. What he doesn't know is that the king's right-hand man, Polonius, is behind the curtains in his mother's room, listening. And as Hamlet goes to confront his mother calls out. Polonius makes a noise from behind the curtains. Hamlet thinks that it's the king, and he draws a sword and stabs him through the curtains, only to find out that it's in fact Polonius. Hamlet continues to talk to his mother to lay a lot of guilt and grief upon her because of what she's done. And then he drags the body of Polonius off, hides the body, and won't tell his parents where the body is. His parents decide something must be done about Hamlet, and they decide to send him to England. What he doesn't know is that they've sent a message along that he is to be killed when he gets there. Well, what they don't realize is that Hamlet has discovered the letter that his father has written, and he switches it with a letter saying, "Please kill the bearer of this message." The bearer of the message was going to be his two childhood friends who his parents had sent for. So he escapes, runs away from the castle, but then he discovers that Ophelia, because Hamlet has killed her father Polonius, commits suicide out of grief. Hamlet comes back for the funeral, but so does Ophelia's brother, Laertes. Laertes is upset as he discovers that Ophelia has died by suicide and that his father has been killed by Hamlet. And in order to avenge his father, Laertes challenges Hamlet to a duel in front of the king and queen, which Hamlet agrees to because he does feel bad for Laertes that he has killed his father. He agrees to this dueling match. Now, as the king and the queen prepare for this dueling match, the king discovers a way to double cross Hamlet. What he does is he prepares a goblet of wine for Hamlet, which he has put poison in. And he has decided that when Hamlet scores a point, he'll offer him a drink of wine. Also, he has had Laertes put poison on the tip of his fencing sword. And so as the two men begin to fence in front of the king and the queen, Hamlet wins several points. But before Hamlet can drink of this goblet that the king has prepared for him, the queen takes the goblet, not knowing that it's poisoned, and drinks from it, thus poisoning herself. Hamlet and Laertes continue to fence with one another. Laertes inflicts a blow on Hamlet, and in the ensuing scuffle, they both drop their swords. Hamlet accidentally picks up Laertes' sword and Laertes Hamlet's sword, and so now Hamlet has the poisoned sword. He also inflicts a blow on Laertes, who then tells him that they're both dying because they've both been struck with the slow-acting poison and that there is no cure, and that it's the king's doing. Now, knowing that the king has not only killed his father, but also his mother, and now both he and Laertes are dying, Hamlet takes the poisoned sword and thrusts the king through with it. So the king dies, the queen dies, Hamlet dies, Laertes dies. Hamlet encourages his friend Horatio to please tell his story after he's gone. In the meantime, the new prince of Norway arrives with his army to take back the land that has been lost. And Horatio bears the news that Hamlet's wishes are that the king of Norway go ahead and receive this land. The king of Norway has Hamlet buried with a soldier's burial, and that is pretty much the end. As you can tell, the play has a lot to do with revenge and its consequences, how an act of revenge can set in motion things that we never intended. So I hope this is helpful for you. I hope it helps you to understand the play a little more as you watch it, and we'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.